The roar of fire, a cry of pain. Before me, the hewn carcass of a monster, yet smoking. I smothered the pity arising in my heart, for I knew that to let the beast live was to let others die. I long for days when I need not draw my blade. They say the skies are endless. Yet I have not seen any part of it unclouded by monsters or raging primals, where the drums of war did not roll like thunder, nor have I discovered any path to order that was not carved out with swords. Though I joined the crew to found the halcyon country of my dreams, our journeys have taught me to fear my quest is only that, a dream. For we live in a time when all things are driven by violence. And yet, who knows what lies just beyond the horizon? The captain said we would sail for a new skydom tomorrow. For once, may we alight upon shores of unbroken peace. The House of Wales had 3 sons, bound as much by love as they were by blood. The eldest was named Aglovale, the next, Lamorak, and the youngest, Percival. I had not yet seen many summers when war broke out in a neighboring country, raising a tempest of violence that would blow us all asunder. My mother, the Queen Hartzeloida, opened the gates of our castle to all who had lost their homes, even those hailing from beyond the borders of our kingdom, she would often say.
Regardless of our lineage or nation, we are all connected, in joy and in sorrow.
It was through her example that we learned to honor our neighbors. And yet the same people she gave generously to would be the very ones to take her life. I will never forget the scene of her death. I can yet hear the echoes of Aglovale's curses. See the stark white of Lamorak's face as his magic failed to save the one thing he treasured most. And I can feel the warmth leaving my mother's hand as I knelt over her, unable to offer anything but my tears. To the very end, all her thoughts and worries were for us. How can an absence feel so heavy? What heart, having borne the weight of grief, will not be changed forever? For my part, I grew to despise the violence that robbed me of my family. I swore I would raise a new kingdom, above the tides of blood, where the gentle gardener and the honest plowman may live out their days in peace. The same grief, however, bent Aglovale on a different path. Believing he could conquer tragedy and banish it from our lands, he began amassing great power. But where power treads, war soon follows. It is custom for the sons of our house to serve as knights in foreign countries, thereby learning the ways of the world. I went to Fiendrock, an ally of Wales, and there joined the Black Dragons, in time becoming vice-captain. Fiendrock made no distinction between me and its native-born children, and I grew to see it as my second home. But no sea is so placid that storms do not brew. There was strife here, too, sweeping over the lands like an illness. I set out on a journey to seek its cure, and that was how I met the captain. Never had I come across a greater fool. In the captain's eyes, there was no sky dweller too high or low to merit aid. no person too strong or weak to join the crew. Who better than to stand by me as I built a kingdom on an impossible dream? And it was not I, nor Lancelot, nor Vayne, nor my former commander Siegfried, but the captain who contributed most to the restoration of Fiendrak. Once the dust settled, we found traces of a foreign power that had first sown the seeds of unrest. We tracked this power back to Wales and its throne room, where my brother Aglavale sat. Still mourning for our mother, he was waging a war on war, murdering tragedy and washing away tears with blood. But one cannot fight fire with fire, for what beauty will bloom from the ashes? Once again, I borrowed the aid of the captain to stop my brother's rampage and help him see reason. Though Aglavale's deeds were wrong, they came from a desire to do good. 'Tis a simple matter to speak words of censure. The wise guide others not through saying, but through doing. Thus I shall build my country and show my brother it is not the flames of war, but the gentle hearth fire that will guide us to peace. Each day brings me nearer to my aim. Fortune has granted me a handful of stout-hearted vassals, the captain foremost among them. Though I am not possessed of any land, our ship is bound for the end of the skies. Surely we will sail over some quiet green fields where I may lay the cornerstone of my kingdom. My greatest care is the safety of the crew. The path of the Grand Cipher is beset by many perils, and I will not have a single vassal taken from me. So I have resolved to travel alongside and defend my captain, until the day I may sheath my sword forevermore. With each skydom I visit, I survey both the lands and the people, hoping to extract the worthiest hearts as vassals for my own kingdom. To that end, I return to Folca, the first settlement we came upon in Zega Grande. But though the earth is ever filled with rich soil and strong rock, true gems are few and far between. So too are the noblest spirits. The people of Folca were of a good but common sort, who preferred constancy to change. They had no army, and peace in the city was kept by a band of volunteers. But if there is one thing I have learned from the captain and crew, it is that wisdom and strength often reside in the unlikeliest of places. Thus I sought out the Fulcan Defense Corps, hoping to find a diamond in the rough. The city folk, however, expressed little faith in their guards.
The Defense Corps? Full of bums who got more stomach for eating than fighting.
Better off calling them the Defense Corpses for the fat lot of help they are.
Yet these were dangerous times for Folca. Brigands and monsters now swarmed about the city, attracted like flies to the reek of Avia. The people looked to the Defense Corps for protection, but received only excuses.
We don't have the resources to combat this threat. Take shelter until the danger is past.
And so the city grew to trust vagabond skyfarers more than their own soldiers. Though I had little hope of finding a vassal among this ragged band, perhaps there was a lesson to be learned from their weakness. When I build my kingdom, it will need to be governed by its own councils. But houses of power, choked by the vines of corruption and frailty, ever fall into decay. Is there any prevention? Where does the first crack form? It was in Folca that I would piece out the answer to this riddle. My road to the Defense Corps was short, but troubled.
This world is being drowned in tears of suffering. Poor wretches, join us on the ship of salvation and sail to the island of Estalucia!
It began when I happened upon a man in the city streets, preaching the creed of Avia. Though we had overthrown the main body of the church at Seed Hollow Castle, still its teachings lived on. Its adherents once numbered in the thousands, and the remnants yet drifted through the skies like ghosts. Now they haunted Folca, hoping to once again breathe life into their crusade. But the city folk had learned that Avia would sacrifice anything on the altar of salvation. Their gilded words held no more value.
Get out of here! We know what you did at Seed Hollow!
We aren't inviting tragedy into our city. Leave!
As the throng railed, unease stirred within me. The adherents of Avia would march on an armed country if their leader so much as waved her hand. What could heated words do but spark their anger?
I came to offer you salvation. If you won't drink from the cup of mercy, you will taste divine retribution!
Voices soared, and the air grew heavy with the threat of violence. Yet the Defense Corps, who were charged with keeping the peace, did not appear. You there, tell me. I asked a man why mediators had failed to come.
I'd be surprised if they did show. Without Mr. Fix-It to help them, bastards can't even wipe their own asses!
Though I had expected it, seeing the proof of their cowardice still astonished me.
Silence! Now it's clear. If we want to break in your minds, first we've got to break in your bodies!
What are you doing? Let go of me!
An Avieth crusader, lifting an islander by his collar, raised up a fist. But I seized his arm before the blow could land. Strike him, and you will lose that hand. I would not suffer the defenseless to be oppressed.
You miscreant! How dare you threaten a member of the church!
You speak of threats. You would force your doctrine on the unwilling with an iron fist. The time of Avia is over, preacher. Your false church is no more.
Blasphemy! We'll have your tongue for that!
Avieth soldiers surrounded me, drawing their weapons. I had hoped you would listen to reason. But now I see, you only understand pain. With a hand on the hilt of my sword, I waited for them to attack. But like craven dogs that bark loudest when their quarry is far ahead, the Crusaders stopped short when I stood to face them. After sharing some whispered counsel with his fellows, the preacher said to me,
We won't fight you in the city. No, be too much hassle cleaning you off the flagstones. Let's step outside, and then we'll see if that bulky armor is compensating for something.
I could not hold back a laugh. Their intent was as clear as day. They meant to draw me into an ambush. Very well. I will play your game.
We'll wipe that smirk off your face. Just you wait.
The Crusaders and I turned to leave.
He's going to get himself killed!
Call the Defense Corps! Even those worms should be able to do something!
Frightened voices whirled behind me. I did not quiet them, for though 3,000 ants of Avia could not crush one lion of Wales, I saw a chance to further test the core. Set out.
Death to all who interfere with Avia's sacred mission!
You have abandoned mercy for violence and wisdom for bigotry. How dare you call your cause sacred?
A demon! Some evil must be feeding his flames!
Call for backup! Tell them to bring the droid up! He's just one worm! Why can't we crush him?
Strength of will is reflected in strength of arms. Good. Summon all your forces. It will save me the trouble of seeking them out.
Reporting for duty.
You're finished now, interloper!
That hubris will be your downfall.
Meet your doom! On your knees. You can't... Fly!
It is strange. Though a great battle rages on their doorstep, the Corps do not appear. Do they sleep?
My poor brethren. You won't like what's coming to you, interloper. It's Brother Avalon. The redhead's done for. Out of the blackness. Back to the void. Shield! You will burn! On your Scarlet Sword. Heed my... It's over!
Music.
The rivers run red! Wait. I know you. The Lord of Flames.
I see my name has reached even the dregs of Zega Grande.
His fire is the fire of hell.
Child's play.
Damn you! Damn you to the bottom of the skies!
The Crusaders took quickly to their heels. The weakest dogs bark the loudest. I sheathed my sword, judging pursuit to be a waste of time. I doubted the cowards would ever return.
There's one over there!
Alerted by a voice, I looked up to see a group of soldiers hurrying towards me. Their livery was not of Avia, and they carried their weapons with the grace of a schoolboy wielding his first quill. I had a good guess of who they were. After they had ringed me about with spear points and blades, one cried,
No funny moves, or we'll skewer you like a pig!
"Who are you, and what business do you have with me?"
Of course you don't recognize us, or you'd be shaking in your fancy boots. Listen up. I'm Douglas, captain of the Falcon Defense Corps. You one of the Avia rats that raised hell in our city?
Better come quietly, or you'll be sorry!
For a moment, amazement wrested from me the power of speech. Then I said, "Surely you do not believe I am a servant of Avia?"
Don't play dumb! Who else would wear that tacky armor?
What did you call my armor? I had always known my garb to be striking. So is the livery of all great kings and lords. For on the midnight field of battle, the general must ever be the brightest star. Thus may he enkindle courage in friends, and show the enemy he is not afraid. My own armor was well worn, and had shielded me from many dangers. To speak ill of it was a grave affront.
We're taking you back to the station, and don't even think about running.
What's so funny?
Nothing. Nothing at all. In truth, this was a matter more to weep than to laugh at. The proud guards of Folka, arriving like carrion crows after the battle to pick at what spoils they may. It was a pitiful sight. Defense corpses, indeed. Do what you will. And so I was marched back to the city.
Hello.
The Defense Corps questioned me at their guardhouse. An enlightening experience, as I had never been a prisoner before.
All right, fess up. Tell me exactly how you're connected to the Church of Avia.
I repelled a group of crusaders that threatened your people. You had no right to apprehend me.
Shut your mouth!
That was all Captain Douglas could stutter out before retreating into silence. Has guilt caught your tongue? I know your actions weigh on your conscience.
If you're trying to scare me, Mr. High and Mighty...
I am trying to help you. Now take heed. As keepers of peace, you are given the authority to take prisoners. But it is not a power to be used lightly. For to imprison someone is to rob them of time, and not all the riches in the world can repay that debt. I went on with hardly a pause. Today you failed your duty. You did not come when your people were in peril. Had I not been there, blood would have been spilled in your streets. And yet you seized me on sight like a petty thief, with no proof other than your own prejudices. I let my final words fall like the stroke of a hammer. You have dishonored your titles and your city. Color fled from the soldiers' faces, leaving only remorse.
Hey, Captain. I think he might be right. We did kind of arrest him for just being there and wearing tacky armor.
Don't let him get to you!
Now the soldiers began to contend amongst themselves. They had to keep quiet about my capture, said one, or there could be trouble. If only they had not delayed after hearing reports of violence, said another. It was good fortune, countered a third, that they had not run into Avia. So on and on they argued in circles, aimless, like a dog chasing its tail. Until at last, Douglas, his impatience boiling over, burst forth with,
All right, fine. Fancy Pants, you're acquitted. Now scram!
"No." Seeing the soldiers at a loss, I said, "Since you have taken my time, I now ask you to share some of yours. I hear that your ranks are corrupted with frailty and disorder. From whence did this rot first spread?"
Why should we tell you, huh? You got nothing to do with it.
"Because I desire and command it." For a moment, Douglas could only stare.
Come on, Captain. Just give him what he wants. Yeah, I don't think this guy takes no for an answer.
Okay, Rubelox, you win. Now pipe down and listen up.
And so the captain and soldiers of the Corps told me of their history and their malcontent.
After the war, Zega Grande was left undisturbed for 500 years.
This peace, like a deep sleep, had dulled the minds and limbs of Volca's warriors. So when the Crusades of Avia roused them at last, they were found weak and unready.
Still, we did all right in the beginning. You probably don't know him, but we used to have a Mr. Fix-It in the city. Went by the name of Roland? Angel of a man, but he fought like a demon.
The strength of Roland was their fortress, to which the Corps could rally if the battle went ill. When he vanished, the soldiers were left without their greatest defense.
So, there we were, a group of idiots who could barely tell the butt of a spear from its head, left to play this game of cat and mouse.
Self-loathing seeped into Douglas's voice.
I know what everyone thinks of us. I know what they call us. But do you think we're wimps because we want to be? Now that Roland's gone, sending my Corps to war, a real war, would be sending my brothers and sisters to death.
Captain Douglas, you've been trying to protect us this whole time?
I sighed. Why do the best intentions so often lead us astray? Very well. For your sakes and mine, I will help the Corps regain its former glory. Maybe by rebuilding this fallen band, I would learn a lesson in how to lay the foundations for a kingdom.